Welcome back to the Put Yourself First podcast. I am your host, Kat Horrocks, a mindset and manifestation coach and spiritual guide for ambitious women who are ready to put themselves first and manifest a life even better than their vision board. So if that is you, you are in the right place, my honey. And I want to talk to you today about one of my go-to tools in my toolkit that honestly has completely changed the game for my work with clients, my own personal healing, my own personal mindset and manifestation work. And you can experience shifts with this in literally minutes. It is quite magical. If you feel that stuck feeling, almost like there's something blocking you internally, there's this invisible barrier that's between you and where you want to be, and that might be like an emotion. You might struggle with energy or motivation. You might struggle to really get going in the morning and feel positive and excited for the day. You might want to overcome an internal barrier that you have, a limiting belief, a mindset block that you tell yourself this story and you know it is holding you back from your potential. You might have something that happened in your past that you want to forgive and heal and move on from, so that you can feel free and light and like you're not carrying around this heavy baggage all of the time. And that tool is EFT. EFT has the power to literally change your energy field within a singular session. It is wild how it works. I want to talk to you about how it works today and also share some examples from myself and clients as well. So EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, and you will also hear it referred to as tapping. So some people call it EFT, some people call it tapping. It's the same thing. It's using the same principle. So just a brief introduction, because I think with this, it's one of those where once you hear what it can do, you're just like, okay, fuck it, let me try it. Whereas you don't necessarily need to know you don't need to be an expert in EFT in order to use it and get the benefits from it, because I teach clients how to use it. I literally just show them how to use it and what to say, and they just get to copy along and they get the benefits and the healing and the release and the emotional freedom and all of that from it. And they don't even know what's going on. They're just leaving the session like, thanks, Kat, that was amazing. I've really let something go there and I feel so much better. But I do want to make this series for the people as well who are like me and are just mindset geeks, personal development, spiritual growth, seekers, students of life. So to talk a little bit about EFT and how it works. EFT is lightly tapping on acupressure points, and acupressure is obviously different to acupuncture, where we're still using the pressure points, so energy centers, meridian energy points of the body, but we are not piercing the skin. So when you go and have acupuncture, obviously there'll be, potentially tens and tens of needles at different points. In EFT, we are still tapping on points, but we're using a light tapping motion with our fingers. And if you watch the video on Spotify or YouTube, you can literally see me doing this. And we're just tapping on these points. And we're getting similar effects to what you would get if you pierced the skin with a needle. But of course, that means that anyone can use this at any point in their day. It is, you know, completely non-invasive and safe and healthy for pretty much anyone to use, even kids. You can teach EFT to kids, which is incredible. Like, how cool to know that the next generation of kids whose parents are into personal development could be teaching them this tool. And in the same way acupuncture works on the energetic body as well as the physical body and the mind, EFT is the same. So with the acupressure points, first of all, I really want to interview and bring on a traditional Chinese medicine doctor at some point, because that is obviously an ancient field of like study and medicine that I am so interested to learn more about from someone who is Chinese and is practicing that, as you know, has lineage in that. I think that's really important. So in my knowledge and understanding, there are certain meridian points of the body, certain pressure points, which link to all kinds of different things, all kinds of different areas. So if you've ever had, for example, reflexology, there are different points of the foot that link and map the body. So from my memory of having reflexology, the big toe is all linked to the head and the neck, and so like the head, the brain, the neck. So there are different points of the foot in reflexology, which is a traditional Chinese medicine practice as well, and quite a good comparison with EFT, because again, with reflexology there's no puncturing of the skin, there's just pressure applied, and different like massage techniques. But what is happening is we are pressing and stimulating a certain point, a certain pressure point, and that pressure point is linked to other areas of the body. And with EFT, we use a round of different pressure points, and you'll have seen it if you've done it before on like a guided YouTube video, for example, or if we've ever done it if you're in one of my programs. We begin generally on the side of the hand, which is like the karate chop point, and then there's different points of the face, so the eyebrow, the side of the eye, under the eye, the top of the lip, the chin, the collarbone, under the arm, the top of the head. But you'll also see people use the wrists, tapping the wrists together. With clients in a longer session, I also like to use the hands, so the fingertips, and this karate chop motion under the breast, so kind of like where the wire of your bra would be. And because we're using a round of points, we're essentially tapping on all the different points that if you are experiencing physical, mental, emotional, spiritual pain or blockages, or there's something not quite right, we are addressing, it's like covering all bases, if you will. So if you say have a headache, there might be certain points in EFT that are bringing you the most benefit and results, but because we're using all the different points that we can in that session, you are going to get the benefit without needing to know exactly which point you needed to press on, if that makes sense. And I think that's why EFT is so fabulous for people to learn to be able to use themselves. Because like I say, I'm not a Chinese medicine doctor, and there is so much, there is so much knowledge and lineage and incredible, like, years and years of study within that. And so my clients can't learn that. They can't necessarily know exactly how, for example, reflexology works or acupuncture works. And those things are incredible to experience if you can, by the way. Where EFT comes in is, I feel like it's this additional tool in your personal growth toolkit. Because you can do it yourself, because it helps with so many different things, it really is like a go-to for me if I'm wanting to unblock something, release something, feel relief from something. And it's called emotional freedom technique. So obviously it's designed to unblock any stuck energy, because emotion is just energy in motion. So if you're experiencing or maybe struggling with a specific emotion, so you're feeling sad about something, or you're feeling frustrated, stressed, anything, or if that is manifesting into a physical symptom. So I had a client in a session recently, she's been struggling with headaches because she puts pressure on herself, and she has pressure on her from others. So she struggles with headaches. That is a physical manifestation of, not resting enough, or feeling, it's like the symbolic metaphor, if you will, of pressure. Because if you ever have a headache, I know, because I experience them sometimes too, and I know I'm experiencing it when it's like when you've done too much, when you've got too much on your plate, you feel pressure, you feel overwhelmed, and something physical can manifest from that. So whether it's an emotion that you're experiencing or an actual physical sensation in the body, including something that's causing you pain, EFT can give you relief from that. And why that is happening and why that works is we are more energy than we are matter, and the energy in our body plays such a huge role in how we operate and how we feel day to day. And most people don't have the energetic hygiene practices to clear stuck energy in their system. So energy likes to be in motion, energy likes to flow. And if you think of, like, I know from learning more about this, obviously the more you can use these practices, the more like unblocked your energy centers can be. The energy in your body likes to have this constant flow and almost like this cycle of rejuvenation. And when things just, it feels easy, it's in flow, it's effortless. Like, I always think about clear and clean energy as that. It's like there's just a feeling of being more present in yourself, being clearer in your mind, you know, your physical body. You're able to be more present in the moment because there's not something stuck that's blocking you from moving forward or keeping you stuck in the past or causing you distress in the present because there's a thought or a emotion or a sensation that is, it's like creating this barrier around your energy system. When it's trying to flow, it's like a dam, you know, it's blocking the flow of the energy. And what EFT does is when we begin stimulating the acupressure points, and this is why it's great as well to do, generally it takes 2 to 3 rounds at least, it really depends on what it is, to really begin unblocking and clearing whatever it was, whatever the energy is that represents that thing. And I'll talk more about some examples in a second so you can think about how this could really help you. But when we're tapping these points, the points are linked to your whole body's energy. So it's kind of like it's like we're stimulating any energy that might be stuck in that point, any energy that point might be linked to in the rest of the body. And as we continue doing that and stimulating that, if you've ever had acupuncture, you'll know that it's like when the needle goes in, the muscle is tight, and then with some gentle stimulation and leaving the needle in there, the muscle can relax. And generally people get like a huge relief from that feeling, because at first it's like there's a blockage, there's like a physical energetic blockage, there's tension, and then as the pressure is still applied, the muscle can relax. And it's exactly the same whether it's a physical muscle or like a mental muscle or an emotional, spiritual muscle. And because we're just lightly tapping, we can do as many rounds as you need to do until you begin feeling that shift. And you will feel a shift. Because if I have a session with a client, I can use several different EFT techniques and rounds and styles, if you will, until we reach it's like the tipping point, until we reach the sweet spot, the tipping point, the root cause. And it's like once we can go past that point, the client feels freedom from whatever it was that was blocking them. And it might be they feel, you know, in the example of my client with her headache, she physically feels her headache leaving. So she feels physical relief from that pain. It might be if we're working to release an emotion, the emotion is fully felt, processed, and then released. And it's almost like the body is allowed to cycle through that emotion, and the client will feel lighter. You'll feel like a weight has been lifted. And if we use more advanced EFT for things like trauma, past events, like conditioning, limiting beliefs, things like that, we can work with that again on an energetic level, and the client will slowly feel, as we move through the rounds, more able to access it's like accessing their higher self, accessing lessons that they need to hear in that moment, or things that they would tell their past self, or just this feeling of calm in their body, because again, it's like the unconscious process is happening, the energy is releasing, the energy is being unblocked and flowing, so that the mind and like you and your like the external world, what you're consciously aware of, can begin feeling the effect and the impact of that. And you might feel this sense of not being able to access the old belief or the old emotion that you were tapping through and wanting to release at the beginning of the session. And there's a few reasons why I believe, in my understanding and research, this works. So obviously traditional Chinese medicine works. This is an ancient medicinal, like I said, practice. People study that for years and years, and I think we can learn a lot from traditional Chinese medicine. We know that things like trauma and emotions and even thoughts, you're in a critic, something shitty that happened to you in the past that you've never quite fully got over. We know that these things, they don't like just leave our system when they happen. Because if there's unresolved emotion, if there's unprocessed emotion, if that created a physical manifestation of something, or if we still carry the stress or the pain from that, we know that the body and the mind carries that, the nervous system carries that still. And with EFT, because we're not just working consciously with what you are here to let go of or release, or you want to feel differently, we're also working on the unconscious level. So we're working on the energetic body, like we've said, with the energy centers, the energy flow. We're working to, I always think of it like a union of the mind and the body, because if the mind is holding on to a belief or a past painful experience, it's like the body is tight and holding on to the tension of that energy, of that. There's something about EFT that brings the mind, body and soul into this union where every part of you can come online and you can feel more resourced and more resilient to move forward with whatever that thing is. And on a scientific level, acupressure, tapping, it's bilateral stimulation, especially, and this is one of my top tips, especially if you alternate between the right and the left side of your body, because we're tapping on your eyebrow or we're tapping on the side of your eye. If you can use both, or if you at different sessions can try different sides, that is bringing literally the mind and the body into unison, because you're using different parts of your brain. And we know that bilateral stimulation, which is what that essentially means, using the left and the right side of your brain, we know that that helps things like stress, anxiety, fear responses, because it brings you more present into your body. EFT is really nourishing and regulating for your nervous system. And your nervous system is that part of you that stores that emotional response. So if you feel triggered by something and you no longer want to feel triggered by it, EFT is for you, because we're going into the response itself and we're clearing the emotional and energetic weight that thing carries for us. And over time, what you'll notice is in that situation where a past version of you would have felt really triggered, and that emotion of, let's say, feeling stressed would come up, you'll feel more able to respond differently. You'll feel more in your body, you'll feel more like online in your mind to be able to choose differently and respond differently to something. But if a past experience or a limiting belief that you have or trapped energy or emotion in your body it's like a learned response in that moment for you to be triggered, for you to react, because your nervous system is your survival instinct. So if you, and let me think of an example from a client, if in the past you have been really critical of yourself, we can go back into whatever it was that made you feel that way, or taught you to have that response, taught you to be that way, taught you to speak to yourself in that way. We can clear and lighten the energy and the emotion surrounding that event or surrounding that person or whatever it may be, so that there's this like knock-on effect on current you and future you in moments where it's like all of a sudden you're like, oh, I used to be really critical of myself and now I'm not nowhere near as critical of myself in that moment. And it's because we're essentially training the nervous system using EFT. We're getting you into this really calm, relaxed space so that we can rewire how you respond to something or how you feel about something, because we're unblocking anything that's stagnating that you no longer want to hold on to. An old emotion, an old belief, an old behaviour or habit even, an old identity even. We're unblocking that and we're really allowing ourselves to process and clear it. It's like the nervous system and therefore your body and your unconscious mind comes into partnership and is more receptive to change. And this is why I bang on and on about you can't just think your way out of something like a limiting belief. You can't just think your way to feel differently. You have to work on a energetic, unconscious and like nervous system level. And the reason I love EFT is all of those things are happening at once, and the client, you, doesn't even have to think about that, doesn't even have to know what's happening, except noticing what is shifting within you. So nervous system regulation, reprogramming your unconscious mind, giving you like release to be able to process and release something from your past that you haven't yet been able to do. Feeling present and grounded in your physical body and feeling calm and receptive so that we can also use EFT to move forward and essentially, like I've described it, as tapping in the new. So once we've, say, released stuck energy that you were bullied at school and you have a deep-seated fear of rejection and you don't put yourself out there in your career because you're so scared of other people's judgment, we can work on releasing and processing that, so that in those moments where you're in that meeting, or you would normally, you're in that meeting and you would normally not offer an idea because you hold yourself back, you no longer feel triggered in that moment, and you're actually able to feel safer in your body to do something uncomfortable and put yourself forward for something, or say yes to an opportunity. And once we're moving into that, we can tap in your new identity. So EFT is amazing for affirmations, for coding in new beliefs, really comforting and reassuring yourself, so that after an ongoing from the session, you continue to feel the effects and feel differently. I'm thinking of a client who we've worked really hard on really bringing her into her physical body and stopping her from dissociating in conflict, basically, because that was a learned response from her nervous system based on her past. And if you don't know about dissociation, it's obviously there's levels to it, because some people can have it really severely and they literally can't feel themselves. They go completely numb. They don't know who they are. That's obviously a really severe version. But many people go into a freeze response with conflict, say, because how conflict was modelled to them growing up was that they didn't have a voice, they didn't have a say, that they just had to sit and take it in silence. And they might have learnt that from a really forward, emotionally aggressive parent, or a parent who couldn't regulate their emotions themselves, so projected a lot during an argument. And so if someone has dealt with that, then if they're having an argument with a partner, they're much more likely to struggle in that moment to stay present and ask for what they need and share how they're feeling and be able to resolve whatever's happening as an adult in a calm, productive way. So we've done a lot of work to really release that and feel safe in her body, feel safe in the moment, be in touch with her emotions and to be able to name them and process them in the moment, so that she now is way more confident and has a lot more language around setting boundaries, around asking for what she needs. And that example in itself is quite literally life-changing. And I would say we've used a number of tools, but EFT has certainly been one of them, and I would say one of the most effective for this client, because it's very unconscious. So if you're someone who struggles to, you don't want to go back into the past, or you almost don't know how you're feeling about something, but you know that you're doing a certain behaviour and you don't want to do it anymore, EFT is amazing, because there are so many styles that we can use where we don't even need to It's not like talking therapy where we need to go deep into what was happening. We can use it in that way, and many people really hugely benefit from that, because many people didn't feel how they were feeling in the moment. So the feeling itself got stuck. But we don't need to do that as well. We can still release the emotion and the trapped energy on an unconscious level using different tools. So that is an example of some, a traumatic event, trauma that's held in the body that is impacting someone in the present day with people pleasing, boundaries, struggling with communication. And of course, when you think about that, that's impacting that person in their workplace, it's impacting that person in their relationship. This shit really stays with us and really affects us and is blocking us from showing up in the world how we deserve to show up, which is in ourselves, being present, being in our body, being able to speak our mind, ask for what we need, have healthy relationships, manifest our dreams, all these things that we talk about. Many people struggle to do that in a very practical way because there's part of them that is stuck in that old cycle, or there's an emotion or a belief that is trapped within their energy system, and we can clear that shit. And the best bit is, the more you use EFT, the more you really begin tuning in to your energy, your body, your soul, the like more easeful it can feel to clear shit when it comes up. And whether that be in a one-to-one session or whether that be by yourself, because at this point I use EFT by myself if I need to clear something. It really is magic. So if you want to get started with EFT, I would say a great place to just take a look and get started is YouTube. I really need to get my act together and do some free EFT videos, so let me know if you're interested in that, and I can definitely figure out a way to do those, or like on Instagram, or I could upload them onto YouTube as well, so you've got some to try. If you're in group programs with me, then we do use EFT. Inside of Next Level You, my 10-week course, we have an EFT library. So I'm still creating it this month, but it will be ready for the girls in this round that's running currently, probably end of Feb, beginning of March. And of course, then if you join any future rounds, you will also get that EFT library, which will be, I think I've counted like 10 different EFT videos that I'm going to make for that, on really relevant topics for mindset, manifestation, limiting beliefs, like all of that good stuff. If you are interested in the deeper work and you want to use this to really go deep, like I said with the example that I had with my client, where we went into, we've worked so much on her past, on trauma, on upbringing, childhood, and I can really go there with a one-to-one client, especially if we're working together over a longer period of time. So 3 to 6 months is generally my initial package that you would work with me for, and we can continue on after that, or many people feel that that is plenty for them and that they've gotten huge shifts in that time. Then get in touch, because I would love to speak to you. You can apply for one-to-one coaching, or if you'd prefer to just DM me on Instagram, you can do that as well. and then we can chat and I can answer any of your questions. And yeah, the beauty of that is it's all about you. And I think for many people, when we're working with these deep-rooted things that have been embedded since childhood or since, you know, a particular event in your life, we often need just some really, really gentle but deep, like one-to-one time to really get you results in feeling free from that, free from the shit that is holding you back, so you can be the woman you're here to be. And I think one-to-one is amazing for that, because it's all about you. It's all about what you want to get out of it. So get in touch if you're interested in that. If you're not quite ready for a full 3 to 6 month program package together, you can also just book a single session. And that's great if you have one specific thing that you just want to clear. We can definitely work on clearing, I would say, at least some of that, if not all of it, in one session. Obviously, it really depends, and there are some things that would require a longer term investment of your time, like in more sessions. But you will feel a shift at the end of a 90-minute session with me. And many people feel like, wow, I didn't realise I was holding on to that much until we had the session, and now I feel like a weight has been lifted and I feel lighter, more energized, more able to move forward, clear on my next steps, all of that good stuff. Some of the ladies who've had some of those in January that I did have got incredible results from them and really, really benefited from having just one session. So one session is great to get you started, or if you're ready, like I say, for that deep, like transformational, like my life has changed from this, then 3 or 6 months is for you. So I will look forward to speaking with some of you about that. And for everyone else, thank you so much for listening. I hope you are loving the new series. I sure am loving sharing it with you. Honestly, EFT is awesome. Stay tuned for some more free EFT videos. And if you're in Next Level You, get excited about the EFT library, because it's coming.